Let's talk about power, fear, and why sometimes you might still want to keep an eye on the people who haven't wronged you. This tale comes from Saadi Golestan, written ages ago, but trust me, it's got more relevance than today's headlines. Picture this: a young king, fresh on the throne, surrounded by his father's trusted advisors. These were the guys who'd been running the show for years, right? But here's where it gets spicy. One day, out of the blue, the new king has them all arrested. Chains, dungeons, the whole 9 yards. Now you're probably thinking, what did these poor guys do? Well, they didn't do anything. At least not yet. The young king, let's call him Hormuz, drops this bomb. They didn't make a mistake, but I saw something in their eyes. Fear, distrust. And let me tell you, that kind of fear, it's like a ticking time bomb. He then pulls out this ancient wisdom that'll make you rethink your next awkward silence. Fear the one who fears you, even if they're innocent as a newborn kitten. A snake does not bite because you attacked it. It bites because it thinks you might. Hormuz goes on, painting this vivid picture. Ever wonder why a shepherd gets bitten by a snake? It's not because he's out there going about his business. It's because that snake is thinking, this dude might step on me. And you know what happens when you corner a scared cat? Even a leopard might lose an eye in that fight. In other words, fear turns people into unpredictable wild cards. They might be innocent, but that paranoia is contagious. Now, let's bring this ancient wisdom into our modern world. Think about it for a second. Whether in politics, business, or even your friend group chat. Distrust is like that one friend who always brings drama to the party. You don't need to be guilty to be seen as a threat. Sometimes just existing in your power or even your potential can make others nervous. It's like when you start a new job and your coworkers are side-eyeing you because you're too qualified. But here's the juicy part. This isn't just about kings and snakes. It's about understanding human nature. Have you ever been in a situation where someone was afraid of you, even though you hadn't done anything? Maybe it was a new team member at work, or a neighbor who always seems to scurry inside when they see you coming. That fear, that distrust, it creates a weird energy. If left unchecked, it can turn into a self-fulfilling prophecy. The person who fears you might start acting in ways that actually do threaten your position. All because they're trying to protect themselves from a threat that doesn't exist. It's like a cosmic game of chicken. Who's going to blink first? But here's where you can flip the script. Recognizing this dynamic gives you power. Not the I'm going to throw everyone in chains kind of power, but the power of understanding. So what can you do with this ancient wisdom in your modern life? First off, check yourself. Are you the Hormuz in any of your relationships? Are there people around you who seem nervous or distrustful, even though you haven't given them a reason? If so, it might be time for some trust-building exercises. On the flip side, are you the advisor? Do you find yourself fearing someone in power, even if they haven't actually done anything to harm you? It might be time to examine where that fear is coming from and whether it's justified. Communication is key here, folks. Sometimes all it takes is an honest conversation to clear the air and prevent that fear from festering into something ugly. Remember, in the animal kingdom, showing you are not a threat can be as simple as avoiding eye contact or making yourself appear smaller. In human interactions, it might mean being more transparent about your intentions or actively working to include others in your decision-making process. Now listen, I'm not saying you should let your guard down completely. After all, there are real snakes out there. But not every rustling in the grass is a viper waiting to strike. The trick is finding that balance between healthy caution and paralyzing fear. It's about creating an environment where trust can flourish, even in the face of power imbalances. Think about it like this. In a world where everyone's playing chess, trying to outmaneuver each other, sometimes the most powerful move is to flip the board and suggest a cooperative game instead. So, the next time you're in a situation where you feel that tension, that unspoken fear, remember old Hormuz and his snake analogy. Ask yourself, am I the shepherd or the snake? And more importantly, how can I change this dynamic? Because at the end of the day, power isn't just about control. Real power, lasting power, comes from trust and mutual respect. It's about creating a space where people don't fear you, but are inspired by you. And that, my friends, is a kind of power that doesn't need chains or dungeons to maintain. It's the kind of power that builds empires, creates lasting change, and, let's be real, makes for way better office parties. So here's your challenge. In the next week, identify a relationship in your life where fear might be lurking under the surface. This could be at work, in your family, or even in your social circle. Then, take one small step to address it. Maybe it's a conversation, a gesture of goodwill, or just a moment of vulnerability. Remember, breaking the cycle of fear and distrust starts with one brave action. And who knows, you might just turn a potential enemy into your strongest ally. After all, in the grand game of life, it's not about who has the most power, it's about who can create the most trust. Because when trust is your currency, everyone gets richer. So go forth and conquer your fears, build those bridges, and remember, sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to show you're not a threat at all. Until next time, keep your friends close, your enemies closer, and your snakes, well, perhaps just admire those from a safe distance. Thank you for devoting your time to this space, where the soul of Persian poetry meets the struggles of modern life.